Well, handsome?
It'll be funny if you end up mostly agreeing with this one. That could end up happening. Totally. That could totally end up happening. Look at the like to dislike ratio, man. People really did bomb these. Okay.
What are we waiting for?
It's too loud? Really? Maybe it's just quiet.
If you want to get to know a character, learn about their interests, goals, or desires, their butt is probably not going to give you that information. It won't tell you much about who they are or what they're thinking or feeling at any given time.
Okay, right off the bat, I disagree with the implication of this statement. Sexuality, fashion, presentation are all pretty big parts of character design and the way you sort of project your intentions and personality to the audience. Like, obviously, literally, moment to moment, a butt isn't communicating thoughts and feelings with you, unless it's like some pretty special magic, I guess. But the right off the bat, the implication by this seems to be that, like, the butt is like an unimportant element of one's character design, which I strongly disagree with. I don't think that's true.
In these early Tomb Raider games, Lara's butt is typically right in the center of the screen. A camera orientation which, along with the sexualized clothing the designers choose to outfit her in, places a tremendous amount of emphasis on that part of her body.
I think this is an insane thing to say. It's a third-person, like, platformer. What would the difference be between the camera focusing on her butt and on her, like, shoulders or something? Like, the camera is where it is for a pretty good reason. I've played these games. There's traps everywhere, and you need it to be, like, really far back. I guess you could argue maybe it could be, like, 1 foot up? I don't know. Now, they definitely emphasized it. I guess, having played these games, I don't know where else they'd put the camera on this. The cam is too low? I always felt like they needed to do that so you can see the ground around her, because this game is this game focuses heavily on, like, trap placement and, like, stuff around your feet that you have to jump in a specific way to avoid. Whatever, it seems marginal to me.
The ceremony! The Sisterhood will never forgive me if I am late.
Golden Axe Beast Rider makes extremely sure that we notice the protagonist's butt just before we take—
So this is an example of what I would call, like, unjustified sexualization. This isn't like a character element. The way the camera pans across the character isn't an element of their personality or design. It's just ogling. That's why I have a lot more respect. If you have a sexualized character design but normal camera and panning, that seems much better to me, because then it's like, okay, it's a normal game. The character in the game just happens to dress like this, you know? Like, if she's some kind of, like, barbarian lady, right? Like, Conan barely wears anything, but the camera doesn't pan across Conan's ass like this. So this is usually what I criticize. This is the stuff that I fucking hate. It's when the camera pans over, you know, when the game feels like it's being creepy.
And here in Tomb Raider Underworld, to say that Lara's butt is being emphasized would be putting it mildly.
Okay, in fairness, you're the one doing this with a camera. Like, this isn't a cutscene, like, forced camera movement. You move the camera. I mean, it's a skimpy outfit, but I don't know, girls dress like this sometimes. If you go to a beach, you will see women wearing, like, this panty line in their swimsuit, right? I know it's a ridiculous outfit, but she's supposed to be a character that dresses in skimpy outfits, right? That's not, like, an innately bad thing. Hey, Anita!
Let's contrast the way—
Again, like, this is what I mean with Anita Sarkesian, man. They just show a fucking example, and she just shows a fucking example, and then she doesn't do anything with it. Okay, like, Bayonetta showing ass is not an example. Bayonetta is thematically sexual. So, her design isn't just a character thing, it's a game thing. I don't know what game this is. I don't know what game this is. This is Lollipop Chainsaw, which is meant to be like an over-the-top, like, splatterfest. Okay, to be fair, I do think this game is very sexist. But I want the argument to be made. Isn't Lollipop Chainsaw popular with lesbians? Of course it would be. Because lesbians get to be creepy about women. They're allowed to.
Let's contrast the way that women's butts are emphasized with the sometimes absurd lengths taken to cover up or hide men's butts.
This is fair.
If some of this footage looks jerky, that's because in some games, trying to get a glimpse of male characters' butts can feel a bit like wrestling with the camera. Common ways men's butts are hidden are by preventing the player from seeing below the character's waistline.
Totally fair.
Or employing a more over-the-shoulder camera angle, which has the added benefit of keeping the character's butt safely out of the frame. The most amusing solution is to simply include a cape, tunic—
Some of these aren't really valid. Wait, hold on. Wait, you're just throwing any fucking example out there. Hold on.
which has the added—
Gears of War doesn't count. Gears of War is an over-the-shoulder game. An over-the-shoulder game— this doesn't count. Over-the-shoulder games aren't going to let you scroll the— that's not how the rotation of the camera would allow— What over-the-shoulder game would have, like, you hold down on the camera, like, movement stick and the camera like pans down to the butt, you know?
Benefit of keeping the character's butt safely out of the frame.
Like this is not a butt being kept safely out of view. This is just an over-the-shoulder camera angle. That's what she's saying, Vaush. Women are not in over-the-shoulder games. If there's a woman, it won't be over the shoulder. See, that's a good point, but she's not saying that. You're being overly charitable. She's saying the camera doesn't let you, not that there's a difference in the chosen perspectives in male versus female characters. If she did say that, this would be a completely valid point. But hey, you know, she only got like $1 million fucking to make these videos, you know?
For the purposes of this video, I tried to get a glimpse.
Okay, yeah, I will say though, shit like this is insane. The butt is a muscle. Like this is this is a decision being made by the modeling team. Like this is ridiculous. His entire body is rippling with muscle. His ass should be huge. It's ridiculous. Like it's genuinely silly. This is being done entirely by insecure dudes for insecure dudes.
I tried to get a glimpse of Batman's rear end, but it's as if his cape is a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries equipment designed to cover up his butt at all costs.
Well, it also just isn't there.
I like to jokingly refer to this aspect of a male character's costume as the strategic butt covering. Of course, not all games.
It comes across as very reductive to me. Like, Batman's had a cape for like 5 trillion years, man. I don't know. Or is that really what we're... Like, are we really making the argument that they gave a cape to Batman so they wouldn't show his butt? Like, I don't know. It just seems like we're literally just throwing this shit out, man. I mean, this fucking guy, what is it? The tech game, the Watch Dogs, thank you. Like, he's just wearing a trench coat. I mean, this guy's an assassin, so he's wearing... I don't know. This just feels like a weak example to me. So this is one of those things, again, where it's like she could be making a much better point. Why isn't she talking about how their butt should be bigger? I think that'd be much more interesting. Like, she didn't even talk about Batman not being modeled with an ass. They just talked about the cape. Why not say, like, hey, why are these professional 3D modelers designing these male characters to have, like, concave asses, which is weird and doesn't exist in real life, you know?
There are a few...
Solid Snake has always had a very emphasized butt in his games. This is an objectively emphasized butt. There's no getting around that. Is she going to pretend that it's not?
Few examples of male protagonists who are wearing clothing that calls attention to their
okay, she is.
Butts, but for the most part, men's butts, even when visible in the frame, are de-emphasized. Plenty of male heroes wear baggy pants or jeans. Uncharted's Nathan Drake among them.
Isn't his butt just as emphasized here as in the Tomb Raider example we just saw? Right? In the Tomb Raider example where I said women just look like that, I feel like this isn't that different. Like, it's just slightly less. Yeah, but don't guys tend to wear looser clothing? I don't know. It doesn't seem that different to me. The camera angle is also pretty low. I know that they're showing the devastation of the buildings up above. I just feel like a woman with this exact like design in this camera angle would be cited as an example of sexualization the other way around.
Nathan Drake among them. But nothing about his visual design or the jeans he's wearing encourages you to focus on his butt as some sort of defining aspect of his character.
Okay, next to her, I'll admit. Look at that.
By contrast, this emphasis on the butts of female characters communicates to players that this is what's important. This is what you should be paying attention to. It communicates that the character is a sexual object designed for players to look at and enjoy.
It is a video game with character designs. That is true. That can be a way to design characters, yeah. I've always said, like, I remember way back earlier in my channel where I've said, I don't want less sexualized women in video games, I want more sexualized men. It's because there's nothing fundamentally wrong with sexualization. It just needs to be done in a way that's more even-handed and less exploitative, you know? But, like, Anita Sarkesian's arguments aren't against the exploitation element. They're against the idea of women being sexualized at all, which, like, fuck that, dog. You know? It's a no.
And by explicitly encouraging you to ogle and objectify the character, the game is...
No. See, wait. Ogle and objectify? Wait, a sexualized character design is not the same as an objectifying character design. See, look at that leap. The implication here is that sexualization and objectification are the same thing. That is not even a little bit true. Like, Bayonetta is heavily sexualized. I would argue strongly that Bayonetta is not even a little bit objectified. Bayonetta is the most, like, overpowered, like, bombastic, like, head of the narrative, takes control, makes her own decisions, everything. Like, Bayonetta is definitely not objectified. She's way too active in the narrative. She's too powerful of an agent to be objectified. So, you know, like, I mean, you could say that about a lot of these characters. I don't know most of these characters. I don't know most of these games. Bayonetta and Tomb Raider would be the examples I'd go to. I would say the only one in which Tomb Raider is objectified, to my knowledge, is the most recent reboot. I remember one time where Anita said in one of her videos that you're, quote, forced to kill 2 strippers in a Hitman game when they're completely avoidable. How was she ever taken seriously by libs? I remember that too, yeah.
Implicitly discouraging you from identifying directly with her.
See, look, this, I don't like this at all, man. The idea that you can't relate to a character and you're objectifying them because their design is sexualized. She literally acknowledged that the ass is very pronounced in Solid Snake's butt in Metal Gear Solid. Does that mean you can't, like, identify with him and he's objectified? Like, I don't... Anita is 1,000,000% a swerf. Yeah, for sure. She's not a TERF, though. Somebody in chat asked that. She's not a TERF. But, like, I do get massive swerf vibes from her shit. Sex worker exclusion. Basically, like, anti-porn, anti-sex worker feminist. Maybe she doesn't identify as that. Again, these videos are, like, a decade old. But, like, that's the vibes that I get.
The solution is to de-emphasize the rear ends of female characters, so that players are encouraged not to ogle and objectify these women, but to identify and empathize with them as people. This is not...
See, this is the swerfy shit, man.
So that players are encouraged not to ogle and objectify these women, but to identify and empathize with them as people.
First of all, the like inclusion of ogle and objectify in the same category, and then also, like, it's either that or you respect them as people.
This is not an impossible task, given that game designers do this all the time with their male characters. It's time they started consistently doing it with their female characters, too.
Yeah, I feel like I should go over more of these videos at some point in the future to, like, talk about my issues with them, I guess. She's asking for fairness in the dumb way. Well, I think that logic like this really set the left up to be sort of attacked by, you know, the Gamergate types, because it really is quite flawed. You know, it's very quantitative over qualitative. It just scattershot makes anyone could look at it and go like, ah, here's a counterexample, you know, because she cites a bunch of games and doesn't really go into any of them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of unfortunate, I guess. Stuff like this really does bother me, not just because, like, first of all, to be clear, the people like Anita Sarkesian, they're almost never artists, okay? Artists want to make the most crazy, over-the-top, like, horny, relatable, awesome character designs in the world, okay? Trust me, go into any art design team. This is one of the reasons why, if you take a look at the concept art of almost any character before it became made into a game or a movie or whatever, the concept art is almost always, like, way cooler than the stuff that actually made it in.